Today on Panic Props, we're going to learn how to make a bleeding candle. If you see, the candle is a white candle, but it seems to have the blood trailing down the sides. It's a pretty basic build that we'll be doing today. The items that you're going to need to pull this off is you're going to need a dark or standard red votive candle. You're going to need a white pillar candle. You're going to need a multi-blade hole saw kit so that you can choose a hole saw that fits the votive size. You're going to want some safety gloves for when you're cutting through the pillar candle. Just always be safe. And you're going to need a drill to make the job easier. And I also recommend a paper plate just for keeping the area clean when you're cutting through the wax, because it tends to make quite a mess. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the multi-blade hole saw kit, and as I said earlier, find one that fits the votive. So this votive barely fits inside this hole saw, so that's perfect. That'll make a perfect hole for us. You're also looking for the depth of it, that the votive is a little taller than the hole saw. If it isn't and the hole saw is longer, you'll want to tape your hole saw with a piece of tape to show the depth that you want to go into the pillar candle, because you want your votive to stick out slightly taller than the hole in the pillar candle. That way the red of the wax will bleed over and down the sides and will cause the running blood. So to begin, the first time I did one of these, I did not actually start the hole saw into the pillar candle. I tried to use the drill and tried to just place it right against the candle and cut into it, but this tends to jump all over the candle. It's dangerous to do. I do recommend using the hole saw and just place it right in the center as you can, and then start turning it by hand, which will then cut into the wax, and this will help place the hole saw into the candle and will make it easier for when you use the drill, so that it isn't jumping everywhere, and the job will get done a lot quicker, a lot easier, and a lot safer. And we always stress being safe with these projects. We don't need anybody having actual real blood running down the sides of their candle, even though it'd probably be a pretty cool effect. We'd rather not go to the hospital dealing with one of these props. So again, I stress starting it. That way it's in there. I mean, it's not coming out. It'll stay in there when I'm using the drill, and it'll be a lot easier, and it'll make your day a lot better. So okay, so here we are. We have our pillar candle in the hole saw, and we have this hooked up to our drill. We do have the safety glove here, which I am recommending. Be safe always. There's a couple of options here. The first candle I did, I didn't preset the hole saw into the wax, and it caused it to jump around as I was trying to press it in. The second one I did, as I was cutting through, I wasn't pulling back out and releasing the wax from inside the pillar, and that caused the outside wax to actually break apart. There's no place for the wax shavings to go, so it forced it out the sides. So that's a couple of things I learned along the process here. Try to avoid those. There's also a couple options you could do. You could actually put this through with your hand the whole way if you prefer that. A little more time consuming, but probably safer as well. Otherwise you can use the drill, but I do stress help the shavings out of the wax by pulling the hole saw out a few times, allowing it to come out, and then restarting again and again. If you're using the drill, I do recommend using a glove just in case, like the last one fell apart on the outside. If you go in at the wrong angle, the hole saw actually come off the side as well. And if your hand is there, you're gonna end up cutting your hands. So glove is better than the hand to get cut. So we will start this process. Go slow with the saw, and it should work out fine, and we will see. A variable speed drill is recommended because a full speed drill would probably just tear this pillar right apart and would be more dangerous to work with. So I'm a quarter of the way in. I'm going to pull it out. We're going to get rid of some of that wax. This one, the inside broke out. That's great. That's very helpful. We will release the wax from inside the hole saw now. So whatever you have around you to get that out of there. I just happen to have a screwdriver next to me. That works well. Just pops it out. Get a little bit of wax there. The wick is still inside the candle. That's just fine. And we will begin again. There I am, the full depth of the hole saw, and now I'm going to pull it out. And there's a bunch of our wax here. There's the inside came out, that's good. I'm going to clean out the hole saw now, just so that it's clean for the next project. And it just dumps right out. And then the leftover wax inside of our candle here, we're going to scrape out. Again, I'm going to use the screwdriver. You're going to need something for that as well. I found the screwdriver works pretty well. Something to keep in mind, do not pry against the sides of the candle, obviously. It will crack it, and then you have to start your project over again. So I just kind of dig the tip of the screwdriver in, a flathead, and dig out the extra wax that's left over. And you just pretty much shave it out, dump it out. Be careful so that you don't go through the sides. You don't want to stab a screwdriver into your hand. You could technically keep the glove on for this, but I go pretty lightly. It doesn't take much to scrape the wax out. So there's not a whole lot of pressure or anything. And we're pretty much to the end of the project here. I mean, you're one half of the way here, and the votive fits perfectly inside. And it will stick out of the top, so that the wax will melt over the top of the candle and around the sides and cause that bleeding effect for you. Make sure that you don't dig too deep with the screwdriver, because you don't actually want to sink the votive into the candle. You want it out the top a little bit. So there we are, that should be good. I'm going to take the original wick and I'm going to just push it down to the bottom to get it out of the way of the votive. It will actually, if you have it up the side a little bit, it will help the votive stay in place in the center as well. And so here we have our votive and our pillar, and it slides right in like that. As you can see, it does stick up the top. That's perfect. You will have a little gap around the sides of your votive. You can take the flaking pieces of wax that you cut out and just fill in the sides a little bit. Try to keep your votive straight up and down, so as you're filling in the sides of the hole with that, keep adjusting your votive so that it is upright. Otherwise your wax will bleed only one direction, and it won't have as nice of an effect as it would if it's centered and bleeding down all sides. So it doesn't take a whole lot of that shaved wax to keep it in place. You can tap the candle to get it to settle down a little deeper inside of the candle pillar. And again, just fill it up so that your red wax has something to flow over top of. It would actually flow down inside of those holes, but then that's less wax to flow down the sides of the candle as blood, and you may not actually get the overflow as you are looking for. So make use of what you have. Always, recycle whatever you can into the project. And there we go. That's what we have. It is now filled. No more gap. And that's what we're looking for. So our next process will be to light it and let it melt down the sides and run. You can help out the project some. As it's melting, you'll see where it pools on the top. You can lean the candle and help flow the blood down the sides. Another thing you can do is take a razor, cut some bleed lines in the wax to help it direct where you want the blood to go. And we will get to that next step. And here we are. We have our bleeding candles lit. The wax is run down the sides. Everything seems to be working pretty well. I did cut the top with a razor to help for bleed lines. Be careful not to crack your wax as you're pressing into it. The pressure will break it. But even so, if it breaks, it's going to melt. It'll run down the sides. It's not a big deal. And you can use whatever color votive you want. So if you want a candle, that runs with slime, you could do a green candle if you want. Whatever. But I went with the dark red. It was like a maroon, a black cherry color. I did use just a bright red one. I think it was some sort of apple color one the first time I did this. So I kind of like the darker red. Has more of a nice contrast against the white candle for the blood. So another couple of things you could do to help it along. If you have a heat gun, you could heat the votive, I suppose, to help speed up the process of the melt of the wax. Not a big deal. Just be careful that you're not melting your pillar. Again, use some gloves or something. Again, you're working with something hot. Run it on a low temp. Keep the gun a ways away so that you just don't completely destroy your candle. And while working with, you're working with candles, you got fire, always be attentive to your candles. Make sure that your stand is stable so that they don't tip over, light something on fire. You don't need any issues with that. So we got the bleeding candles. So if you like the project, go ahead and give our video a like, share it, subscribe. We'll have more videos for you in the future. And yeah, it's a great project. Looks good around the house, around your haunt sites, anything. It'll go great. Perfect decor. Why not have some bleeding candles in your house? Company will love it. And we'll see you in the next video.